with the immense blessings of our beloved Guru Maharaj, Maharanyam Sri Muralidhara Swamiji, and by the causeless mercy of Sri Madhuri Sakhi Sameta Premika Vrada Thakurji, one of the most important scriptures of our Sanatana Dharma, a scripture which we as a Hindu should have at least read it once and should have at least known its essence. If at all you need to name one holy book which represents Sanatana Dharma from the multitudes of various granthas which Sanatana Dharma boasts about, and then we can boldly say, if you have to choose one book which is applicable to all, which everybody should know about, it is certainly Bhagavad Gita. Our Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada says in Bhajagovindam, at least read one chapter of Gita, one sloka of Gita daily. Bhagavad Gita Kinchita Pitandar. Ganga Jalalava Ganika Pita. We should know at least a little bit of Bhagavad Gita. And the beauty is, irrespective of which nation we stay in, or irrespective of which region we stay in, if we are all Hindus, we should have one book. And that one book is Bhagavad Gita. And it is said for Bhakti, Bhagavad Gita is like the mother, and Srimad Bhagavatam is like a father. And together it ensures that we have Bhakti blossoming in our heart. Such is the greatness of Bhagavad Gita. And of all the various yogas of Bhagavad Gita, that one yoga which is universally applicable for you and me, irrespective of which walk of life we are in, irrespective of what occupation we do or what profession we engage ourselves in, that one yoga which is common for all of us is what is called as Karma Yoga. And that is the basic foundation on which spirituality is built. Without Karma Yoga, none of the other spiritual practice will ever give any fruit. And if we have Karma Yoga alone can take us to the highest state of moksha itself. That is the greatness of Karma Yoga. It is an absolute mandatory starting step if we want to pursue other yogas. But if we pursue Karma Yoga with devotion towards Bhagavan, Karma Yoga itself will lead us to the state of liberation if we do it properly. That is the reason why Bhagavan deals with Karma Yoga as the first yoga in Bhagavad Gita. And he starts by talking about Sankhya Yoga, which is what is called Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is nothing but, very simply, what is Jnana Yoga? Jnana Yoga is clearly seeing, not just understanding, clearly seeing the difference between that which is Nityam or permanent and that which is transient and transitory, which is impermanent. And discriminating Nityam and Anityam is the foundation of Jnana Yoga. So when we are very clear, all this world is Anityam, this body is Anityam, what is that which is Nityam? What is that which is eternal? What is that which is permanent in this apparent fleeting existence of this universe? We understand this consciousness. It is Jnanam. It is our Atma. It is Brahman, etc. And that is the reason why we actually say that Jnana Marga is nothing but clearly differentiating Nityam and Anityam. You see? And for that Jnana Marga to be well established, the first steps for that is certainly Karma Yoga. The mind has to be a little bit in peace to even do such vichara properly. Vichara means contemplation, reflection. And for that, Karma Margam is very important. Bhakti is this tremendous love, loving Bhagavan more than even myself. And that is what is Bhakti, isn't it? Even for Bhakti to be well established, we need Karma Yoga. And Karma Yoga itself has a little portion of Jnana in it. It has a little portion of Bhakti in it. And if we do Karma Yoga properly, it itself can lead us to Bhakti and hence Jnana and hence Moksha. That is the reason why when our Bhagavan started to talk about Sankhya Yoga, which is Jnana Yoga, he could not help mentioning and detailing about Karma Yoga. These are inseparable. And we already saw that the key aspect here, which all of us can certainly practice, is Sukham Sukha Dukhe Same Kritva Labha Labho Jaya Jayo Tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papam avapsyasi. Generally, we are more risk averse than being a little more motivated by gains, isn't it? Then general research to fact is humans are little risk averse. And Bhagavan says if you are a little concerned about not fighting the war, not because you are not motivated by the actual fruit of war, which is kingdom and other stuff. More than that motivation, the negative motivation of what if I incur sin is actually a little dominant in all of us humans, isn't it? So Bhagavan very specifically says, if you look at your work, which has been ordained by Shastras, you are a Kshatriya, you need to fight. That is what you signed up to as a purpose of life. If you do that act with this mentality, with this perspective, treating happiness and sorrow, sukha dukkhe, and gain and loss, labham and alabham, and jaya ajayam, which is conquest and defeat, same kritva, with equanimity, then you engage in battle, you will not incur sin. So the most important principle which connects jnana and karma marga is this principle of samatvam, equipoise, looking at both with an equal eye, taking it as a whole package, not trying to cherry pick, not trying to wish, not trying to fancy that I just want all the positives and I don't want anything which may be deemed as negative experience to me. And I look at both positive and negative experiences in equal eye. It has been made equal because I have this tremendous love for the dharma which I have embraced. Let me give you an example. The example given is a lovely story which came in our monthly newsletter called Madhura Murali also. Swamiji has presented it in a story for youngsters. In Tamil, it's called Balakargalukku Oru Kadai. Though it is written a story for youngsters, it's a story which all of us can benefit from. The story is very beautiful. A person wanted to understand this equipoise better. How can I not be impacted by, this dualities of life? And he goes to a master. The master asks him to bring a small, a little handful of salt and a jug full of water. So the Shishya comes with a jug full of water and a handful of salt, you see. And immediately he said, put this salt in the jug. And he put the handful of salt in the jug, stirred it well. Then he said, drink this water. You see, the moment he just allowed even first 2 drops to inside his mouth, it was so salty that he could not swallow it. The Guru said, swallow it. And then with great difficulty he swallowed. Then he said, are you ready to drink the rest of the water in the jar? Maybe over time you can drink it, no problem. He says, no, I can't. Why? You put a handful of salt in it. He said, is it so? He said, yes. Then he said, okay, bring me another handful of salt. Now the Sisha is shivering already. Already once bitten, twice shy. One tasted, twice shy. So he goes there, brings a handful of salt. The Guru takes him to a lovely pond nearby, which is a pond used for drinking water. It's a pure drinking water pond. He said, put this handful of salt in the pond. And then he put that. Then he said, you take a tumbler or a glass full of water and drink it. And he drank it. He says, how's it? He says, beautiful, it is sweet, etc. Then he said, hey, you told me that the handful of salt is going to corrupt the water, you can't drink that water, etc. But the same handful of salt only I put out here, which I had put in the jug. What is the difference now? Then the Shishya said, that's only a jug of water. This is a pond of water. It's a huge body of water. So the same handful of salt doesn't seem to impact it when I have a huger body of water than when it's only a jug of water. And the Guru smiled and said, if you look at work as something like a jug of water, which means you look at work as something which I'm going to get some fruit from, something which is going to pay me. If I look at work as solely the means of earning something, all the little ups and downs in this work is going to be like the same handful of salt. But since your perspective of work is being made into a jug of water, it's going to really impact the whole jug of water. But if you approach work as a big pond of water, The same quantum of ups and downs is what you're going to face. But when you dissolve it in that big pond, you hardly even see the difference this handful of salt made to the pond, because you have a buffer of a huge pond. Equanimity can be done, equanimity can be experienced when we have a perspective of work bigger than just, if I do the work, I get paid. If I do the work, I get recognized. If I do the work, I will get the reward. If we look at work that way, we have made work as a jug of water. And the amount of difficulties for any work is given. It is constant. And our perspective can be expanded. But the obstacles and the small physical discomfort or the political discomfort or the little bit of challenges we face because of interpersonal issues, etc., that cannot be changed. You see, unless I take action and I work on it, it can't be changed. It's like a hand of water, I mean a handful of salt. Our perspective is flexible, but some of the challenges, obstacles right now, given the experience, given the task, may not be avoided. But I can expand my perspective in such a way that that handful of salt does not end up becoming salty. It actually disappears in this huge pond of water. When we expand the perspective of karma, we can make karma as worship. If we constrict it, and constricting it simply means, what do I get out of it? Even before I get in work, I am already bothered about what I get out of work, you see, and that's the problem. And when we look at work as a duty, when we look at the work as something which is ordained to me, and when I start really loving what I do because I know its purpose to me personally, to the society as a whole, or to the humankind as its universal aspect, then my work becomes a pond of water. And the little obstacles I face won't bother me, won't bog me down. It won't actually make me fret or fume, etc. And so what the obstacles, challenges, etc. is like a handful of salt which cannot be changed. It's a given. But my perspective of how I look at work can be expanded. And when I expand that, I get this samatvam. This handful of salt doesn't bother me. It doesn't leave a very salty taste in my mouth while I'm doing this work. And hence, our Bhagavan uses this to give us something very spiritual. I talked about the non-spiritual aspect of it last week. I'll tell you the spiritual aspect. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu katachana ma karma palaheturbhu ma te sangostva karmani. You see, out of the 84 lakhs or 8.4 million life forms, the one with what is called as vivekam, the one with what is called as intelligent discrimination, is only humans. The rest of the life forms can only experience joy, sorrow, heat, cold, victory, defeat, etc. They don't have the power to discriminate and to understand that I am beyond all this. They can't reflect, they can't contemplate, they don't have vivekam, etc. Only the human species, apart from doing all these things, can also have vivekam, where a human can actually contemplate and reflect and try to pull himself or herself up from all these dualities. Here Bhagavan is saying karma everybody does, but then the karma phala, the fruit of karma, everybody has to experience. But for you, what you have right on is only karma. The fruit of the karma itself cannot give, first of all, and you cannot control that also. And so the one who actually dispenses the fruit, is what is called as Ishvara or Bhagavan. Now my role is to do the karma properly. And now Bhagavan's role is to dispense or dispose the actual fruit of my karma. And so my role is merely in doing the karma, which means my right, adhikaram, is I don't have adhikaram for the fruit. I have adhikaram only for the act, right? And so if I do my job right, Bhagavan never makes a mistake. Bhagavan, who is what is called as Sarva Karma Phaladhatha. Bhagavan. The one who dispenses the fruit of all karma is Ishvara. He never fails. Which means, whatever karma I do, Bhagavan gives the fruit in accordance to one more agency called time. You see, if you want to understand this karma and karma yoga better, with the agency of time, let us take a simple example. Karma is of two types. And karma is either punyam or papam. There is something called positive karma or negative karma. And how do we know it is punyam or papam? Na? It is in alignment with universal values, then it is punyam. If it is contra to universal values, it is called papam. And unfortunately or fortunately, we never experience the fruit of karma immediately. So the whole karma works and entices us because of the factor of time. You see this, right? What is time? Apart from this time, mental time is the actual space in the mind between an activity and its result. Something comes inside called time. And I can conquer time if I don't bring in that gap between activity and result. If I, even intuitively, if you enjoy what you are doing, it means you are not separating an activity from its result. While I am doing the activity, I am enjoying that result in form of activity itself. And generally, we used to separate it as leisure, hobby, things I love versus things I need to do, have to do, etc. So the moment I do this leisure activities, for me, there is no separation of activity and its fruit, you see. And so I don't perceive time at all. And how do I know that? We call it engagement, where we say it was like a flow. I just loved it. I didn't know 2 hours passed by like that. So time comes in. Time is always a botheration. The time, I don't mean the chronological clock time. I'm talking about the time as related to my psychology, my psychological time. When I am with a person whom I love, 5 hours of chatting with the person passes off like 5 seconds. If I imagine that somebody is a headache for me, 1 second with that person appears like 1 eon for me. And I wish, when will he leave? You see? So here, the time is obviously relative, and the time can disappear if we can do karma yoga. We can conquer time. And how we do that is, there are 2 aspects to work. One is the actual activity, and the other one is the fruit of the activity. And that which connects these two is my hankering or my craving for the fruit of an activity. If I am craving for a fruit of an activity, I bet I will never love that activity, because it is a fruit that I am looking forward to. And the reverse of it is, the moment I embrace an activity, I can embrace an activity by 3 things. One, using my nature. By nature, some of us like some activities, right or wrong. By nature, some of us like to sing, and the time stops when I sing. Time stops when I listen to songs. Some of us by nature love to talk. When I keep talking, I don't even know, I've been talking for 2 hours, I'm sorry, you see. And swabhava determines what becomes very natural for us to enjoy what we do. So that's a big part. Luckily, some of us have very sattvika swabhava, where when we sit down to do worship, or when we sit down to do a little bit of a chanting or a nama contemplation or dhyan, meditation, or some yoga practices, time stops for me. What it means is, my activity and its results are fused, which means while doing the activity, my mind is not diverted from the activity, right? Looking for, when will I get the fruit of this activity? You get what I'm saying, right? So the whole karma yoga works very simply, very, practically, when we can somehow fuse the means and the end together. Swami Vivekananda's wonderful synthesis. And he says, I spent about a week with a person called Pavhari Baba, and that person didn't speak. Whenever Swami, he used to remain underground, never used to see people, and it seems he only had air for food. That's why it's called Pavanahari. And he spoke only for 1 minute. And that 1 minute of what he got from that Mahatma, Swami Vivekananda says, I cherish, you see, because he gave me something very significant. And he said, I learned this from him. Fuse the means and end, and you got the purpose of life met. What it really means, when I, as swabhavana, nature, some of us by nature love to do some things, and hence I lose track of time. Only few of us are fortunate to have the nature to do the right thing which leads us to liberation, where the time also stops for us. You see, then it's become natural. Like Mirabai had her bhakti naturally. For her, 24/7 singing, contemplating Bhagavan, by nature, time stopped for her. And for us, we are trying to shake the clock to, pass by 5 minutes of chanting. For her, it was natural. Only few people are fortunate like that now. So one aspect which can make time stop when we work is nature. Each of us have activities which we enjoy. When we do that, time stops. That's what we say. Let's do what we love, etc. The second part of it is when I understand the greatness of a purpose, when I understand why I am doing something, even when that activity may not be in accordance to my whatever nature I assume I have, because I see the significance, because I see the beauty, because I see the gravity of the purpose for which I'm doing this, it makes my work, I embrace it with all my heart, and time can stop for me because I know pretty well this is aligned to a great purpose, which is what I say. If I am very clear about the why, the how does not bother me. The example given is also a wonderful uh, uh, story I heard, where a person goes and says, I want to serve you, what can I do for you? And the person said, there is this big bag of gold, you have to carry it, you see. And the person tried to carry the bag. He didn't know there was gold inside. He tried to pull the bag, very heavy, 30 kilos, you see. And then he was saying, And then the person said, do you know what is in the bag? He says, what, some bricks? No, no, it's gold. Immediately the person said, such a precious thing is inside the bag. So carefully, even though he was sweating, he was feeling, Arey, I'm carrying gold. I have never even seen so much gold. Now I'm carrying it. And then while he was walking a little bit, when he became a little fatigued, the person said, do you know why you are carrying this? And the person said, no, it is for you only. Then imagine how light the baggage will be for him. Not because it suddenly lost its mass and all that. It is because his perspective changed, saying that this is gold, it's going to change my life. And so the little bit of this resistance in work is zero now. The reason why we feel stress is because we resist work. And we resist work because of swabhava. And resistance is the one which gives us stress. Right? Even in martial arts and all that based on yoga, they always say don't resist it, go with the flow. You see, and I'm sure you would have seen all these lovely 1970s 80s karate movies where they use such punch words saying go with the flow, use the energy of the enemy, don't try to resist it, etc. And I also told you a story of my friend who always used to go to my principal's room and somehow come out unscathed even after little bit of scaling. That's how we all scaled up in knowledge. It was scale down, scale up, you see. So in India, the ruler which they used, with plastic, or there was no plastic then, it was wooden ruler, it's called scale. So generally, those days, these were all very common. Now everything has been made into a big issue for the good of people only, I guess. So here, when we were, youngsters in school, if we do some mischief, we have to parade ourselves to the principal's room. And the principal or the vice principal, either of them, take a very tough stand to make sure there is punishment and all that. So the typical punishment is raise your hand, the scale. And then we all, when is it coming up? It used to pain, searing pain. But always I had a boy. He is now in a very good position now. You see, he knew the trick of life right from childhood. Swabhav. So he went there And each time we were co-conspirators in mischief. At times I had nothing to do, I get caught. That's karma. You see, so I go there and I got a little hit, and this chap, same decibel level 82, when we shout. But when he come back, casually he's going back to work. I said, Are, you got hit, it didn't pain for you? "Oh, not at all," he said. How come? I said, very simple. What do you do? I said, I keep my hand stiff. You shouldn't. You see, keep the hand loose. As the scale hits it, along with the scale, you take your hand off. To distract the teacher, make a sound. Oh, she will look at you, but while the scale is coming, your hand is also going along. So you are saying, don't resist it. If you resist, pain will be there. That little Vale gave me this great lesson. More you resist, greater is the pain. More you resist the inevitable, permanent is going to be the pain for us, you see. And so here, resistance is different from transformation. Resistance is a present moment activity and trying to resist what is happening to me right now. Transformation is a long-term activity of the future where I want to change the way I see things or change the way I am. So when I'm saying resisting, it means right now what is happening to me, the inevitable, I'm resisting, not accepting. So here, our work becomes a burden when we resist the inevitable, which is inevitable right now. The more we resist, the more is the pain. When I'm carrying this bag full of gold, even though it is heavy, the fact that I know it's going to be mine and I'm going to set myself for life forever, the same amount of burden or the work is not going to be that much suffering for me because I am not resisting psychologically this activity. I am going along with it. You see, I am not questioning, should I do this? Why am I doing this? Etc. Psychologically, not technically, psychologically. And so Bhagavan very beautifully takes off the pain, saying, hey, why are you unnecessarily trying to think that you can control something when you have absolutely no control about it? Me being an Indian citizen cannot now sit down and mull over the future of, say, Switzerland's presidency. Why should I? I can't control, I can't vote, right? And I can't control it. So let it happen the way it is. The moment I fancy I can control something which I cannot control, then pain comes in. You see? So Bhagavan relieves by that pain by saying efforts and karma is what you are eligible for. I have given you empowerment, I have given you adhikaritvam, and I have given you all this capability to only do action. And I gave you buddhi to actually have determination in what you need to do as an action. I gave you shastras to align your buddhi to the right purpose. Do all that and just do the action, because the fruits are in my hands and I never fail. But unfortunately or fortunately, karma and fruit are separated by time, and that is universal principle. If I let that time of separation between work and the fruit enter into my head, this psychological time is what is called as misery. This psychological time is what is called as pain. This psychological time is resistance. So when I am doing a leisure gardening, I don't resist because I actually embrace it. I just say, I planned it, I'm going to do it, etc. The moment I make it as a paid thing, so many of us make that thing for encouraging somebody. We generally say when somebody anyway enjoys doing something, we add a little bit of motivation by giving them a reward. You actually demotivate them, because now instead of the activity itself being a reward, now you are showing an extrinsic reward apart from an activity which actually spoils the joy of even doing that activity, you see. And now reward becomes important and the enjoyment in doing that activity drops, isn't it? So Bhagavan very beautifully says, karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Not even little bit you can control results, but totally you can control what you want to do or what needs to be done. And so Bhagavan says that fruit you don't have adhikari. Karma does not give its own fruit because karma is insentient. It does not know all that. So who gives the fruit? Krishna himself gives the fruit. And Krishna unfailingly gives the fruit. I gave you an example also last time, my personal example, where what is due to me will come. And now when it will come, I don't know. Only Bhagavan knows. So whatever little activity you do is recorded. The fruit will come, whether in this Janma or next Janma or wherever. So why I'm telling you all this? So you don't have to worry about will I get the result? Was it in vain? Even if nobody saw what you did, but you did a good act, na? The fruit for that will certainly come. It's unfailing, right? Suppose everybody saw and thought that I am doing something very dharmic. Actually, it is a fraud. I am not doing anything dharmic. Na? Even that fruit has to be eaten by me. So Bhagavan is assuring us to the action alone, you have the right. And I have completely empowered you for that. Brain wise, heart wise, hands, legs wise. Whether it is the actual energy to do it, or the actual purpose to do it, or the actual capability to do it, everything I have empowered you. For the results, you don't worry. I am the one who gives you the results. And it is very much your experience, says our Prahalada Swami. If you ever look, let us look it very scientifically, the number of things which happened to me significantly in my life. Number of things I planned in my life significantly. You see, you find the correlation and the Pearson correlation constant, romba kammi, very less. Why? There are many I planned and it didn't come to pass. There are many which came to pass which are significant, positive or negative, which was not carefully planned by me also. You see, and so Bhagavan says, which is not against planning. You see, I'm not using this to say we should not plan, etc. This is simply a data for us to be convinced that actions we have complete power and right to. The results of the actions we cannot anyway control. When we are not able to control the result of action, why dwell on it? You see, a person went to a guru and he said that what is the way, Guru Maharaj? And he said, you chant Maha Mantra. Then he said, how much should I chant? He says, the way in which you are chanting right now, don't worry, you will reach in 10 years. He said, it's hypothetical. No guru will tell like that, for us to make a point. Then the person said, sir, if I double my efforts, then when will I attain it? He was hoping at least 5 years, at least arithmetica. Then he said, well, if you double your efforts, 20 years of dinner. If I triple it, sir, 30 years. Then he said, why is it so? Why is it so? He said, when you initially asked me what to do, I gave you a path. If you both your eyes are on the path, you will attain very quickly. If one eye is on the path and one eye is on the goal, you're going to stumble a lot of times. Let both your eyes be single and be on the path which you travel, because that is the path you need to travel. The destination will anyway come, you see. But if your one eye is here, one eye is there, then you are conflicted. Then you won't enjoy the path, you won't go in the path properly, you won't see the path properly, you're going to stumble. So let both your eyes be only on the path, the result will anyway come. And that is why our Bhagavan says, Karmanyevadhikaraste. Whatever we think is dharma, let us follow that dharma. Ma phaleshu kadachana. You have no right towards the fruit anyway. And to put it in the mathematical terms, which we discussed in one of the intelligent living series, it is like a dependent variable and independent variable. I understood that very clearly during my corporate days, especially because I was trained for such problem solving methods. Let me quickly tell you this. You see, this is what it is. And this is what is called as an dependent variable. It's not independent. It depends on X, which is the independent variable. Bhagavan is saying you have the right only towards efforts, you see, which is your independent variable. This you can't control because this function is in my hand. If you do the right efforts, depending on when I want to give you the result, you will anyway get the result. Don't keep, bothered about why. Focus on your X's and then everything will fall in line, you see. And that is what our Bhagavan is also telling us. And the only mischief in this whole equation is time. And we ourselves have seen some things, even if we do something very nasty, the result of that doesn't come immediately, it takes time. That's the good news. And the other side of that is, when I do something very positive also, I may not taste the result immediately. Even for people who are Nobel laureates, you think they got it overnight? Years and years of sweat, you see. And many of them were not even having their eyes on Nobel Prize. They were passionate about what they were researching. They wanted to find something. They wanted to expand their horizons. And mostly they got like that. Now I don't know what is the political situation in Nobel Prize. But generally people lived the research, you see, day and night. I have met some of them where they're constantly thinking about it, and they are not even thinking about when will I get the Nobel Prize. They are constantly thinking about how do I get the breakthrough in what I'm researching right now. And then the result came automatically in due course of time, isn't it? So remember this, that many people say if the results were immediate to the actions, world would have been a better place. Bhagavan says, if I did like that, then you will say I don't have any compassion at all. If somebody made a mistake and immediately I made the punishment to that person, you would say, why didn't you give him a chance to reform? That is the reason why Bhagavan introduced time between actions and results. So when we do something, generally we say, when we do something wrong with the eyes, let Bhagavan pull the eye out immediately. If we do something wrong with the hand, let the hands be cut immediately. Then Bhagavan is Kripalu, is like a father. He is giving us a chance to actually realize the mistake and make amends. That's the reason why the punishment is not immediate. He gives us the chance. He even gives us a chance to do expiation, which means prayaschittam, so that you can at least reduce the hit of the impact of karma. So Bhagavan has put in time for a very good reason. And he has put in time for the reason that we can make amends. And of course, it is a whole package. He can't say, I will delay the punishment and I will give the reward immediately. That he can't do. There is one system he has put in, karma and karma pala, and there is time. And every karma's karma pala has to be attained. Shall I give you examples? Because you are astikas, I am telling you. Because you have faith in rebirth, Mahabharata, etc., I am telling you. There is an interesting conversation between Parvati Devi and our Bhagavan Parameshwara, Kailashapati, where she is asking about karma and its effects. This also came as an article. Swamiji pointed it out to us. He asked, is everything the result of karma? He says, absolutely. Whatever you see as riches, as suffering, etc., is all result of karma. Punya karma leads to all this. Papa karma leads to all that. Then she asked, there are some people who for the first 60, 70 years have not tasted any riches at all. Suddenly during retirement, they get tremendous riches. They become tremendously opulent and they get a very good stand of life. Why is it so? And immediately Parameshwara said, most of those cases would be in their earlier lives. For the first 70 years, they were very miserly. Suddenly, a doctor would have come and said, you have only 10 more years to live. Immediately, they would have thought, at least let me do some charity so that I can get some punya for the next janma. So they did all this charitable work only after 70. And so whatever they did after 70, they are able to enjoy only when it is of no use to them. Because they gave it out when it is of no use to them. So now they are getting it when it is of no use to them. And when somebody gives something not heartfelt but chalo abdin kurta, what will happen the next janma? You will have an excellent house, you will have an excellent kitchen with all well-stocked pantry, but you will have a disease where you can't go around the house and you can't eat any of it. That is how intricate karma is. You only know Papa Punya, na? There are a lot of flavors of Papa, flavors of Punya, and it is not just logical alone. Of course, the logical stuff is only the outermost general principles. The particulars are incredible when it comes to karma and pala, and hence, none of our efforts which has done heartfully is ever wasted. Ever. And that we have to be completely convinced. Using our logic and vicharam, because this is the fundamental karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana is a fundamental principle we have to embrace even if we have to go forward in karma yoga. Otherwise, how can I do something without expecting a result? Here Bhagavan is not saying don't expect a result and do actions randomly. Then we all become muda only. Mudopi na pravartate. Without understanding an implication of an action which is a result, not even an idiot will go and do anything. You see? So the point is not don't think about results and all that. Bhagavan says, you be very clear, do purposeful actions. Purposeful action itself means that it is leading towards a result only, obviously. But Bhagavan says, don't hanker for the fruit while you are doing this action, because first of all, there is this perfect universal justice on a grand scale. Whatever work we do, whatever little good act or bad act or whatever act we do, will have its repercussion. We have to get its fruit, right? That is a given. So we need to understand karma first before we tell karma yoga. Na? Karma means this: if you do something, you will get the fruit. Don't worry. And if you fail to do something, obviously from nothing something doesn't come. So when somebody is just sitting idly and suddenly he got a big riches, obviously he must have deserved it for, in the last janma, etc. He must have done whatever needs to be done for it to happen. When somebody gets a lottery is not a random event. If see, you have to understand me right. The science or the Vedic science which supports karma pala is astrology. You see, because an astrologer can clearly tell these are the major important events in one's life. The better the astrologer is, it is more accurate it is. It is like any other branch where you can't use rotten apples to judge a tree. You have to take the best apple to judge the capability of the tree. I have personally seen astrology. My Kundali is in bits and pieces the moment I met my master. That's a different issue. But I have tremendous faith and love for astrology because it's a lovely science. That's the only reason. I don't see it for me, because for me it is in the hands of my master, it is in the hands of Thakurji. But astrology is true. And the reason being, many episodes where they went to a right astrologer who, when you say a right astrologer, hobby astrology is not enough. Generally reading some books and all that is not enough, because astrologer whom I am talking about 24/7 is calculating what is the place of Surya now, endha rasile, endha nakshatra ukkandandrukku. He will be in 24/7 in that chintana. And that astrologer confided to us when we gave a small puraskar to him privately, that for the time when he was reading astrology, he didn't read newspapers, he was having no diversions, 24/7 for 10 years. When he was following his guru, he was only thinking astrology, which made him an extremely popular, of course, and also extremely sharp astrologer, you see. And he had predicted things which you can't even imagine. And it was not in Facebook also, by the way. So when one of my friends went there from the place where he stayed, there was a small cattle shed in the place where he stayed. When he went there, within 2 minutes, he quickly asked a few questions, like not personal questions. He just asked a few questions of when did he come, which direction he came, how much betel leaf he brought, and all that he counted. And then he said, you are coming from a place where there is a cattle shed. And then he said, in the last 1 week, a calf must have died in the cattle shed. You see, first time he's saying him. You see, why I'm telling you this is to show the authenticity of astrology. How we handle it, etc., only experts will do it perfectly. I'm not encouraging you to run around astrologers, nor am I discouraging it. Please don't get me wrong. I'm just telling you there is a science there, you see. And that astrology very beautifully was explained by one of the top authors. She runs a magazine in Bangalore also. And she gave a very concise definition for astrology, which I found it to be extremely impressive. Because she is well aware about the current day trends, etc. She is well educated, not only in astrology, but also in other aspects of human life. And she gave a simple definition. Astrology is a study of the quality of time. It's all. Quality of time. Time has quantity, we all know, it has quality also. And the quality of the time tells us what action, when will the fruit of that action come, all that relationships. Bhagavan does not do it randomly. He does it with a pattern in his heart, and that pattern of Bhagavan's heart of the connection between karma and its fruit, etc., is astrology. Imagine, like Vedanta, astrology needs to be realized also, not just studied. Calculation is a major part. You also need that realization which comes from 100% dedication to this branch of Vedic science. So here our Swamiji used to say astrology is a proof for us to show karma, fruit are inevitable. Because if somebody's life can be predicted perfectly, it is because there is a clear relationship of his history to what is going to be the impact in this life. And of course, you can't predict 100%. And it is said in the science of astrology, even Brahma cannot tell exactly what is going to happen to you. They will come very close to it because you still have the power to change the life, you see. And in Parikshit's case, the day Parikshit was born, the astrologers gave him so much prediction that they told Yudhishthira, your grandson will live for say 40, 50 years. And then he would do an apacharam. He would actually make a small error in insulting a rishi. And the rishi's son will give you a curse. But don't worry, a Mahatma will come in his life and ensure he reaches Krishna's feet varaikum in Bhagavatam. That is what, forget astrology now, that clearly proves karma and the fruit lie inevitable. So when it is so clear that way, why should I put both my eyes on fruit? Why should I even put one eye on the fruit? When I'm clear, this is the X. You see, this is the X. This is what I need to attain, and this is the path I need to take. This is the efforts I need to take. Let me put all my efforts there. Let me put all my passion there. Let me embrace it. Then what happens is, I don't look at the fruit because I know, as a matter of fact, it cannot be denied to me. Then I do karma properly. And then comes karma yoga, where I realize this fruit is transient because the moment I eat it, it disappears. Na? There is a bigger fruit of life called moksha. So I am ready to give up this fruit for this higher fruit called moksha. Then karma yoga makes sense. If we are not at least having 1% of passion in our heart that someday I need to be liberated, I should not be born again, karma yoga can never be 100%. I can tell you the superficial karma yoga, saying that focus on the work, result comes automatically if you sell right. But all this will make sense only when we are a little bit, at least mumukshu. Mumukshuna, the one who wants a little moksha, at least a little. Then karma yoga will make complete sense for us, you see. And so here Bhagavan says, samatvam, the equipoise, or looking things in an equal eye, is the fundamental building block of karma yoga. And Bhagavan says, hey Arjuna, for karma you have the right, for the phala I have to take care, I will take care. Ma karma phala hetur bhuhu mate sangostu akarmani. So do not become alpam by constantly craving for fruit all the time. And also don't become tamasika by saying அதுதானே வர போறது அப்படின்னு உட்கார்ந்தேன்னா அதுக்கு வருதுதான் வரும், you see. And so don't have too much of attachment to the fruits, or don't be attached to inaction also out of stupor or inertia or misunderstanding. So don't have an inclination for inaction, and don't be too much driven only by the fruits, and only right you have is for action alone. அப்படின்னு our Bhagavan says. And so he says, Yogastha Guru Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Siddhi Asiddhayoho Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Bhagavan is saying, what is yoga? What is yoga? Karma everybody does. Karma yoga only a few does. What does karma yoga really mean? Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, equanimity. Equanimity of while doing the work, because anyway I don't have the right towards the fruit, etc. I don't know. I wouldn't waste my time and energy trying to say, will it work, will it not work, what if I don't get the fruit, etc. I focus, I understand this action, this direction of the action leads to that result or purpose, so I continue doing that, irrespective of whether I have this little skepticism about will I get the fruit, etc. And I continue doing that work. So siddhi asiddhi, attachment, cast off attachment, and be equal in success or failure, and samatvam yoga muchyate, be a yogi. Samatva, look at both failure and success in the same spirit, because this is anyway your duty. If I can give you a small example, suppose you are in a corporate setting where you have to have a role of giving reports for feasibility of a project. So a person is giving you, make a feasibility report for the project. Now, when you start making the feasibility, even practically, if you start looking at the feasibility with a clear idea, anyway, this is going to be rejected. You are right. You see, that is what is called self-fulfilling prophecy. And suppose you look at the feasibility, this need to happen. Your feasibility report will not be a real feasibility report if you already are having half of your head think about what is going to come out of that report. You see, so a person who truly is a neutral person who is equal, whether this project is approved or not is not my role. My role is to give a balanced feasibility of this project. Now he is the right person to make feasibility report, and that person has done justice to the role of doing feasibility report. Why? Samam bhutva. Whether it is going to see the light of the day or not is not my concern. And adukku Mr. Krishnan Otharkar, CEO, he is the one who is going to decide. My job is to do the job of showing the feasibility of this project, irrespective of whether Mr. Krishnan will approve or disapprove of it. Then you are doing the right feasibility report. You see, likewise, siddhya siddhayoho samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. And Bhagavan says, in this whole world, be like a guest, be like an atithi. Because anyway, this body itself is a rented place. This world is a rented place. I'm not going to stay here forever. So be like a visiting member. Even your own home, be like atithi. Now I know it's a little over the rim for you, but that is what is a clear karma yogi is. Like an atithi in his own home. And our Ramakrishna Paramsa says, like a caretaker. I don't see it is mine and all that. I'm taking care of it until it goes to the next person, or until this leaves me or I leave this. If you look at it that way, Ramakrishna Paramsa uses an example of, you have the nurses. You have this Chedi Marnu. These are nurses who come to a household. And many of the affluent households, even in Tamil Nadu and other parts of India, hire a nurse. It will be typically a young lady, a girl, to take care of this small little child. That nurse will cuddle the child, take care of the child. Konjuvada. The moment the contract is over, the nurse without anything would say, thank you, go to the next house and take care of the child with all that. Andamari irundra. You see, that is the demand of Karma Yoga when you want moksha. Be like a guest. And that's why Bhagavan says, be established in yoga, O Dhananjaya, and you undertake actions casting off attachment. Casting off attachment does not mean I do it in an uninterested way. In Tamil we say, yeno tano. We don't do a job in a very negligent way. Not that attachment. There is a difference between uninterested way and disinterested way. Uninterested means I don't apply my mind, I don't apply my energy, and what I do is I am doing it in an uninterested way. Disinterested means I am going to put all my effort, all my passion as if this is my worship, but I am not interested in the fruits of it. When it comes, let it come. If it does not come, let it not come. I will leave the one who dispenses the fruit to do that job. So disinterested way, he says, that is what is zero attachment. All love, zero attachment is disinterested way. Love does not say, when the mother is feeding the child, this is the best rice available in the Indian store out here, I'm feeding you like that. When I become old, you also make sure, give me only basmati. Will any mother feed a child like that? So she is actually showing all love, zero attachment. Why? Because there is a joy in taking care of a small child, in feeding the child, bathing the child, dressing the child, playing with the child, talking to the child. That is what is called total love, zero attachment. Attachment comes in when each time I do, you see, I'm taking care of the child. I don't know whether she will take care of me in future. Nah, it becomes attachment, and love becomes 0. Attachment becomes 100. That becomes interested work. When you look at a mother taking care of the child, you get an idea about karma yoga. Why? There is love there, and there is no attachment to what will I get out of feeding the. You see, and so that is what our Bhagavan says. Sangam tyaktva. Embrace it. You see, embrace it. Think deeply about the purpose. Think deeply about all the values, and think, I'm not a dog, I'm not a pig, I'm not a cow, I'm not any other animal which cannot think like this. Na? I have chosen this purpose in life. I have chosen this path in life, this profession in life. Let me give all my passion to it. Let me love it. Let me embrace it. Why? Because I chose it as a grand path. That's all. And the results will anyway follow if you want. But a person who understands the grandness cares nothing about the results. You get what I'm saying? And that is what we call as passionate work, isn't it? Where I just want to do it. I'll give my best. Result comes, fine. If it doesn't come, fine. I've enjoyed what I'm doing right now, isn't it? So that's why he's saying that Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Siddhi Asiddhayoho Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. That Samatvam will come when we think about all the things I said, stitch it together in a canvas, and then we will understand what Samatvam is. Samatvam means irrespective of what is the result of the action, I am going to give all my love because anyway I can't control it. And anyway I don't want it. You see? Krishnarpanam. You see? Samatvam yoga uchyate. Dhurena hyavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanam anvichya Kripanaga palayetavaha buddhau sharanam gacchami. And the buddha in the buddhi enna buddhi yogam. You see, buddhi yogam. So he says, oh Dhananjaya, action is inferior to this karma yogam. You see, take resort to this buddhi yogam. Buddhi yogam nale karma yogam. Don't look at the translation. It's not jnana margam he is talking about. Wisdom, which is a part of karma yogam, is what is buddhi yogam. And he's saying, Kripanaha palahetavaha. Whenever people are saying, I will anyway achieve in life, I will get the rewards, na? Kripana, pitiable state, you see. Why? Because they will never enjoy what they work for. They will never enjoy the work. When the result comes, they don't know what to do next, you see. Because we are not used to enjoying what to do, na? What do you think result will suddenly make a big difference in our life? Nothing. We are what we are used to. A person who is used to constantly resist work will resist even joyful work in future. I told you a story, na? Power of habit. If you are habituated to loving what you work, embracing what we work, and enjoying and giving your best to what you work, it will continue forever. There was once a person who came away from his family, and he came along with a few of us to a camp because he had to come. And in the camp, we all self-cooking only, which means you have all the ingredients. You just this person went to cook something. We were all sitting down. This person sat down and said, he gave a big sigh, permuch, and then started eating. Then we all said, Are you only cooked this? Why are you sighing in dismay? So did I do that? Oh, okay, yeah. Padakam of it. Generally, somebody else cooks at home, and every day before eating, I used to sigh and say, oh, and then eat. No, even when I cooked myself, what I really wanted to cook, I cooked. Because of force of habit, the dismay also came, the sigh also came, and then I'm eating. No? So don't think just because somebody is focused on results, sir, very good. But focused on result means giving passion to the work and loving what we do. The result will anyway come by the way. If result is what gives me joy and my path is miserable, after the result, there will always be very innovative way for the person to become miserable. Even when things are all proper around that person. I've seen it with my own eyes. You see, a person who was grumbling when he joined with me as a graduate engineer trainee had a faster path upward. He was the same grumbling manager when he became a manager. Why? Na? Adat. You see. And that is the reason why Bhagavan says, Kripanaha palaye tavaha. And he quickly tells us the difference between karma and karma yoga. If you look at karma, I hope you can see the screen. It is motivated by fruits alone, which is in future. When I do karma, na, fruits. What do I get out of? What is the results? You see? And for results, which is what I want from work, values like truth, openness, etc., may be compromised. Why? Because it's a fruit I want. I don't care how I do it. End only matter, means somehow do it. And because there is constant affliction of desire, aversion, anger, jealousy, comparison, there won't be any peace at all. You see, the person will lose peace while doing all these things. And constancy of purpose or clarity in determination won't be there in karma. And obviously, because the person wants the fruit, he has to eat the fruits, positive and negative. There is no escape in the cycle or chain of karma for him, causation chain. And when it comes to karma yoga, it is not motivated by fruits of future, it is motivated by the love for dharma. When I say dharma, don't just think it's only Sanatana dharma. If you are in a profession, you take a deep look at the profession, embrace it, love it. And so everything I do is actually, I am driven by the love I have for the path I have chosen. You see? And second thing is, there is a very little scope for me to compromise on values, because results, let it come, it comes. That's not my primary focus. In fact, it's not my focus at all. So I won't cut corners and compromise values while I am going in the path towards a purpose of life. I won't compromise values for results, which means in modern terms, sustainability is taken care, you see. And generally, a person who has embraced this dharma is fearless, unperturbed, and unaffected by all these aversion, anger. Frustration cannot come in efforts. Frustration can come only in expectation of a result, and it didn't come, and so I get frustrated. You see what I'm saying? For example, sorry, hypothetical example. Don't take me wrong here. Suppose I enjoy cooking. I really enjoy cooking. And I go about enjoying the cooking. I serve my food to a lot of people. Some of them just chomp it quietly and they swallow it. Some of them I say, very nice. Some of them say, I am not bothered by all these three. Of course, I may be a little bit, when somebody says a little bit, I'll be happy. When somebody says uppu serina, I may think. And when somebody is quietly chomping, I am pretty much okay because I enjoyed cooking. Suppose I am cooking only for the claps in the dinner table, clap will become. Why? Because I am not enjoying my cooking. Then what will happen? If people don't relish what I cooked, then I become extremely frustrated. So next time I start imagining, when I start cooking, then the activity itself is frustrating. Activity itself is not very peaceful and joyful. And finally, the result, when it comes for a few seconds, I may be happy. Next time I am concerned, like last time I should get claps in what I cook. Now the whole cooking has become a tension for me, you see. And the reason being, I don't follow karma yoga there. Constancy of purpose or clarity in determination. Buddhi yuktaha, vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekaiva nirkilya. And that clarity is there, and the determination, that buddhi nale determination. This is what is the path. This is my purpose of life. I'll keep walking. But if you are not sure about it, we take sidelines. Sandulu, bondulu, na pona poch. You see. And then, if we do karma yoga, we are freed slowly from the loss of karma. There are three types of karma called prarabdha, akami, and sanchita. I will talk about it next week. We are freed from akami and sanchita karma, and we just need to finish off our prarabdha karma, which extends till we drop this body in this life. After that, we will be freed. So karma yoga done with a little bit of bhakti towards Bhagavan Sri Krishna is enough, because karma yoga itself will flower in bhakti, jnana, and free us from the cycle of birth and death. And this is the beauty of karma yoga. We will see a little more of karma yoga in the coming weeks. And so the short and long of it is, remember, karma yoga means two things. That for every karma, even if you have a slightest desire for the fruit, We are caught anyway, but you don't have to worry about it, because for a karma, fruit is waiting for us unless we do karma yoga and I look at a bigger fruit. I am willing to give up the small fruit out here. You see, the biggest fruit is freedom, absolute freedom, the joy in freedom. You see, do you want all the lovely foodstuffs you ever dreamt in your life, all given to you but locked up forever? Do you want that? Do we want to be a parrot in a golden cage? Huh? Or do we want to be a parrot who does not care about any cage at all and wants to fly free in this lovely blue horizons? The parrot in a cage, in spite of all that it gets, is always frustrated. It's always sad because anyway it's a cage. You see. But a parrot which is free is completely carefree and it is really enjoying freedom and joy. And Karma Yoga opens the cage and lets us free into the space of spirituality. Karma binds us in a cage and makes us very frustrated, makes us very, hankering for when will I get my next fruit type of a thing. And the choice is ours. And Bhagavan says, in any case, you don't control the results. It's a plain known fact. So focus on what your dharma is, focus on what your duty is, focus on what your purpose is, focus on what your activities which is in the path of purpose is, and you will be happy. Don't hanker after karma. Why don't you start enjoying what you're doing? That's a lovely challenge for all of us to take it up and say, why can't I enjoy what I'm doing? Seems that I have a choice. Practice small steps. And then even the so-called things which we thought we don't like, we can start embracing and start liking it, because we are not bound. Until we think we are bound, we are bound. The moment we start practicing karma yoga a little bit, it will free us. And that's why Bhagavan says, Neha abhikramana nasosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. May our beloved Guru Maharaj and our Thakurji help us. And why help us? Take us in this path of karma yoga so that we start enjoying our duty more and stop being in a pitiable state of hankering only after the fruits, and mature ourselves. And for that we need Krishna Kripa. Premamrutam yo murali ninadehi Sri Krishna rupena puravarsha Adhyapi soyam Muralidharakyo Pushnati Premna Bhuvanam Saharsham. For those who are wondering, I wish my spouse attended this session. I would request you start from the first. You see, this is nothing to do with others. It is for us. Always we want others to follow Karma Yoga, others to be Jnanis, others to be Bhakta. Namak. Just stuck me. Ayena vacha manasendriyerva बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. सद्गुरु महाराज की जय.